Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Clangin, Bangin with Mikey, episode 219. And today, what we're going to talk about, man, is I know it's Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, but there's something that I want to talk about that's more important. Um, I was watching a short from tonight's conversation, and I don't remember the brother's name, but he's on the panel from time to time, right? Or he used to be on the panel, you know. And he was talking about emotional roller coasters and everything too. And like the question was like why do women were saying how come why the fuck do men like this disrespect the fuck out of us, this and this and that. And he said, honestly, because it's like, you know, we've shown you guys this, right? Because it's an emotional roller coaster. It's like it's toxic, whereas, the communication is toxic, and like the toxic forgiveness is like, and when you really think about it, man, it's true. Um Everybody who's toxic to a point, you know, they'll always apologize, and it's like then it's always going to be the same. It's going to be the same tired cycle, whether it's you're good for a couple months, whatever it is, and like now you beefing or all this type of shit, right? And so, and it made sense because he was talking about emotional roller coasters, how it's always going up, always going down. It's never even killed, right? It's always one end of the spectrum, is either high or low, And one of my favorite rappers, Nipsey Hussle, said he's like, I never get too high, I never get too low. And I took that to face value, and that's how I approach my relationships, whether they're friendships, whether they're romantic, relationships, whether they're platonic, whatever it is. And even if it's a situationship, I don't get too high, I get too low. And like there have been some cases where I've OD'd in certain situations, because I'm just, you know, I had let my emotions get the best of me in those situations, and that's just something I had to work on going forward, and I have to a point. And it's important to take every lesson from every situation that you're in and understand that sometimes it's a blessing and a lesson. Meaning, it's a blessing that this person came into your life and they did X, Y, and Z for you. But it's also a beautiful thing in being taught the lessons. Because I thought I was not that I didn't have any work to do, but I thought I had handled all my triggers, all my traumas, and everything like that, and I haven't. You know, um, and I have to, you know, I have to go off and I have to figure out, okay, like how do I deal with conflict? How do I deal with, you know, insecurities, doubts, whatever it is, whether it's, you know, me, myself, or who, the person that I'm interacting with is like, how do I get better? Not just for myself, but for them. And sometimes, and Trip Fontaine said this too, and the brother is so on point. He said, man, it's like sometimes things ain't just, they're you know, they're just not in season, you know, and they're not in season, and sometimes you have to, reorganize, pivot, or sometimes you just have to leave. And a lot of us don't want to do the last thing because we're so afraid. Like, damn, I'm about to lose the best thing that happened to me, X, Y, and Z. No. You know, I think when something ends, something else beautiful comes in, you know? And I think that's the most beautiful thing about life is like you have to make room for things that want to be with you, people that want to be with you, and like you can't sit there and like be stuck on an emotional roller coaster because you don't deserve that. And you don't deserve, having your emotions played with. I don't care if it's friends. I don't care if it's family. I don't care if it's your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife. It's like, don't let nobody play with your emotions, and don't let nobody ever downplay you ever. And just because you don't think you're beautiful, or just because you on social media and you're scrolling through these pages of these beautiful women, don't think that you're not beautiful yourself, because you're not average at all. You're not above average. You're beautiful too. And it's imperative that people get told that. It's imperative that they understand that they're important too. And you have to understand that it's okay, you know. And situations are what they are, and it's never a bad thing. It is what it is. A lot of the times you have to take the lessons that you know that I said earlier, take them and learn from them, and understanding that the blessings are part of the lessons, lessons as well. You can't get a blessing without getting the lesson too, and it's important. It's important that people understand that, because you can never let the bad outweigh the good, you know, or you can't just focus on the good and ignore the bad, or you can't just focus on, you know, just because you found one green flag and a bunch of red, and a field of red flags doesn't mean that that one green flag makes up for everything else. And again, it goes back to people knowing their self-worth, people knowing that they're good enough, people knowing that, yo, you are good enough. You hear me? You are good enough. And it's imperative that people understand that. And it's imperative that you do inventory, not just of your life, not just of your finances, or not just of your household, or not just if you're raising, kids or whatever it is, or if you're in a relationship, it's not just doing inventory on that. You also have to do inventory on your friends. You have to do inventory on the people that you consider your friends. Now, do they drain you, or do they uplift you? Or are they the type of individual that's always sneak dissing and always doing X, Y, and Z? Because if they're the type of individuals that are always talking trash about people, always sneak dissing, always doing this, always doing that, it's like, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, what makes you think that they're not trying to sabotage you too? It's like, that's just something that a lot of people don't want to recognize, because it's like, yeah, it's like, I think at the end of the day, if your circle isn't clapping for you when you're winning, when you're happy, when you finally leave that abusive relationship, or when you finally end that toxic relationship and you meet somebody else who is great, of course everybody has flaws, everybody has, differences and whatnot. But if they're not clapping for you, if they don't uplift you, and or if they're always trying to come across as, well, he or she did this or he or she did that, or if they're always trying to sabotage something else that you have going on that's good, then you got to ask yourself, is this person really a friend of mine? Because a lot of people think, oh, I've known this person for, 25, 20, 15, 10, 10 years, whatever it is. But sometimes just because you know somebody for an extended period of time doesn't mean that they're good for you. It doesn't mean that they're a good fit for you. And I think what I took away from that emotional roller coaster short that the brother was talking about is that you have to understand that you have to get off the ride, and you have to get off the ride, and you have to value yourself, and you have to understand that, okay, like, this isn't working for me, and that's fine, take responsibility, take accountability, and understand that it's okay. And, like, don't get me wrong, it sucks, isolating yourself and working on yourself, but your future self will thank you for that. And I know me, I'm a different cat from when I was 21. I'm a different cat when I lost my dad. I'm a different cat when I hit 30. I'm a different guy because I lost my brother too. who was my best friend. And I want to thank people who, who are there, who are here, and who were there to help me get through that extremely difficult time. And it's important that we realize that, man, because we're not here forever. We're here for snap of the fingers. And I have some growing to do. I have some maturity to do. And I'll be the first to tell you, it's like, yo, these are my shortcomings. These are my flaws. But if you work with me, if you understand that, like, I was told once that if we end up walking away from each other, I'll be sad about it, but I'll understand it. And this individual, when they said that, I'm like, yeah, I'll be sad too. But at the same time, you got to get off the ride. At the same time, it's like you have to understand that it's okay. And I got a loving heart. And sometimes I'm a lot to deal with. But at the end of the day, if I'm rocking with you, I'm going to always rock with you. And going forward, that's just the guy. I've always been that guy. I've always been that individual who was there for people. And somewhere along the lines, I guess my kindness got taken for weakness. And I guess everything that I've been through was just manipulated and somewhat used against me, right? But I'm never going to change up who I am. I'm never going to change up who I am for nobody. One of my partners told me once, he's like, Mike, I've known you for over a decade, bro, and you've always been the same cat. You've never changed up. And it's true. I have no reason to change up. I have no reason to be different. I have no reason to pretend. I don't have a fake bone in my body. I'm not going to sit there and talk shit about people behind their back, or X, Y, and Z, because that's not me. But I just want to get on here and say, man, it's like sometimes, not sometimes, but all the time, you have to be self-aware of not just who you're dealing with, but how you deal with them and how you deal with yourself too. And a lot of times, we don't give ourselves enough. We don't give ourselves enough time to be graceful in situations where we need grace. And sometimes you have to look at the situation and be like, and you have to be tired of being on the roller coaster. And it's okay to take a break. It's okay to hit pause and realize, yo, this doesn't mean that the page is, just because the page is turned, doesn't mean that you can't, look back on the memories and think like, damn, they were good people, or damn, like they were solid people. But at the same time, it's like you have to value yourself too, and you have to understand that it's okay. It's okay to put yourself first, and it's okay to understand that. I think by putting yourself first is the ultimate form of self-love. And be kind to yourself too. Be patient with yourself. All right, y'all. This is 14 minutes of your life that y'all won't get back. Hope y'all keeping it the 4 P's. Private, player, positive, pushing. I'll see you.